Hi everybody, it's me. My mom is doing better. She's doing fine. She ate by herself today. Today we're gonna take a look at economic nodes. Now, usually when I do these shows, I write down the script and I read from the script. Today I'm just gonna wing it because I don't have a lot of time. So, also I'm not gonna read the entire thing to you like I have in the past because of time. But we're gonna go through it together because there's a lot of interesting info in here. And at the end, I'm going to give you some strategy. So let's get started. So the blog starts out with this beautiful picture of an encampment, I think. Whatever stage 2 is, this looks like stage 2. I can't think straight right now. This looks like a stage 2 area. Doesn't look like a village yet, although here's some little houses. But I still don't think this is a village. These are little tents. There's a statue there, which is interesting. Okay, so maybe we don't build the statues. Maybe the statues are already there and the NPCs are hanging out near them. And then we start putting our little tents around as the encampment grows into a whatever stage 2 is. I can't remember the name of it right now. And here's a gate because you can't just come in through the wall there. That would not be nice. Here's some interesting stuff. We get some lore at the beginning of this, and it's pretty interesting. So you might think it doesn't mean anything, but I think the lore actually has something to do with the game. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, what good is the lore? That happened in the past. This is now. This is today. Who cares about that? But if you read between the lines, you might get some interesting info from it. So let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. This part right here. Hundreds of years before the first Harbinger appeared in the Varan sky, under the rule of King Fentis Lineth VIII, there lived a great alien explorer named Doran Greyshore. Doran sailed the first ships to the shore of Eranthia, where he established one of the wealthiest guilds the 10 Seas had ever seen, the Greyshore Company. Their motto to this day still holds true. The sails of diplomacy are driven by the winds of trade within the seas of opportunity. So right there we have a lot of cool stuff. So Eranthia is the name of one of the land masses. It's either an island, a country, a continent, something. But Eranthia, that's one of the land masses. So that's new. We never knew that before. Also, the 10 Seas. So there are 10 seas on Vera. That's interesting as well, right? So when we get to Vera, we have to count them and see if there are 10, because if there's only 9, maybe one is underground or one is hidden somewhere or something. Or maybe that's not accurate. Maybe Stephen was just writing some stuff and that's what he wrote, and it has no realistic value at all. I don't know. The motto is also really cool. The sails of diplomacy are driven by the winds of trade. You could stop right there because that's awesome right there. Within the seas of opportunity. So I've been saying for a couple of blogs now that Stephen likes DS9, so this is some Ferengi stuff right here. That's a really good quote. Also, we can speculate. So this person, Doran Greyshore, they became filthy rich in the wealthiest guild on Eranthia. So if we can find Eranthia, there might be a reason why Eranthia became rich. Maybe it holds some spices that only grow on Eranthia. Maybe there are rocks or minerals that can only be found on Eranthia. Maybe Eranthia is in a specific location. Like, think of the United States and Asia. Every year the Bering Sea freezes over and it creates a land bridge, and all the ice road truckers go through there. So there's a couple of cities on each side that are really good for trade. Maybe Eranthia is in a spot like that. Like every winter, something freezes over and that becomes a really important port. So it could be that. It could be spices only grow there, or rocks, minerals that are only found there, or something. But if we can find Eranthia, maybe we can give it a go too and become filthy rich. So that's a really good clue if you look carefully. During the expedition stage of the node, players will encounter merchants looking for the help of brave adventurers and curious artisans. If you choose to aid them, the once small expedition could grow into a sprawling metropolis. So I've seen in the in the forums people asking, how are you going to know what kind of node it is if it's just a bunch of NPCs hanging out? So I've answered this before, but it's pretty obvious to me. I don't know why people can't figure it out. If they say, hey there, do you have anything to trade? Then it's an economic node. If they say, hey there, can you help us defeat these monsters? It's a military node. If they say, hey stranger, come pray with us, may the sentient stars guide you, it's a religious node. If they say, do you know where to find any pink bananas, it's a scientific node. So the stuff that NPCs say will give you a clue as to what kind of node it is. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's not official, Steven hasn't said it, but it just makes a whole lot of sense to me. Okay, unique buildings. Let's get down there. Each node type has a unique building associated with it that can be activated at level 3, the village stage. So it's only going to take a lot of hours to get to the village stage. It takes a couple of hours to get to the encampment, and then a lot of hours to get to the village stage. So if you join the game on day 1, if you're one of those people that likes to wait outside the iPhone shop for the latest iPhone, or you wait outside Best Buy for the latest game to drop, when you go into the game, you'll have a hard time finding out what kind of node it is. But if you go in a couple of hours later, or the next day, or a week late, the villages and stuff should already be in place, so you won't have any problem figuring out what kind of node it is, because it will already be there. So the market, let's talk about the market. At the village stage, the economic node's unique building is the market. So that's the first thing. It doesn't look like this anymore. It doesn't look like that anymore. Now it looks like a village, and you can walk in there, and there will be an auction house where raw resources and processed goods may be posted. So this is like a bulletin board where you post stuff up for sale. So raw resource would be wood, like a branch. And a processed good would be wood, like a board that's already been planed down into a board shape. A raw resource would be sugar beets. Processed good would be you took the juice of the sugar beets and turned it into sugar. Trade hauling stables for tier 1 mule training. So apparently your mule doesn't know how to do anything until you train it. So I've already read this article, and there's 3 levels of mule training. So I'm thinking the first mule training is for pack animals. It teaches your wild mule how to be a pack animal. Because mules aren't like friendly and stuff. They walk around eating grass, but they don't know how to carry stuff until you train them. So level 1 might be training it to be a pack animal, carry stuff on its back. Level 2 might be to learn how to pull wagons and stuff, because that's different. And level 3, I have no idea. I have no clue what level 3 would do. Self-driving mule, maybe? Your mule goes back home after it's done? I don't know what level 3 mule would be. Maybe working as a team, in a team setting? Hauling the big wagons, like the big ones? Maybe. That's speculation. We can ask Steven about that. I'm sure there's going to be a Twitchcast or another creator tour soon, something where he's going to give us more info. Player shop areas for personal shop deployment and rental stalls. This is like the swap meet. You can either rent a stall for the weekend, or you can buy the stall so you can sell there all week long. That's what that kind of means, I think. You can either rent the stall for a day or 2 until you sell your goods, or you can rent it for the whole week. Private property sales certificates. So this might mean that you can actually purchase some land in the city where you can build a candy shop or something. This is really interesting to me and confusing as well. Hunter's Post. Higher redemption for tier 1 creature bounties. I've been wanting to be an animal husbandry guy for a long time. So, what is creature bounties? Like, go out and catch me a snow leopard and I'll give you some embers? Or go out and kill this snow leopard that's been eating my sheep and I'll give you some embers? Or go get me a snow leopard so I can breed it with a polar bear? Or go get me a snow leopard so I can skin it and make a cloak out of its fur and necklaces out of its teeth and claws, and I can eat the meat in a restaurant? What's a creature bounty? Is it dead or alive, or dead and alive? The other really interesting clue that we get from this is that the animal husbandry profession seems to be tied to the economic node. So that's interesting. I'll tell you some strategy about picking your node at the end. Picking your node. Don't pick your node in public. Pick your node in private. I'll tell you some strategy about picking your node at the end, and it's going to blow your mind. Maybe. Level 4 town stage. At the town stage, the unique building becomes an exchange. Trade emissary, established by node diplomacy, offers exchange interface with citizens of foreign nodes. So this is a government position. You either get elected to it or get appointed to it by the mayor. Once you become the trade emissary, you can trade with other nodes, citizens of foreign nodes. So if you're trying to get all rich and stuff, this might be your first goal, to become the government guy. Expanded auction house, where all goods and items may be posted. So not just resources like sticks or processed good like wood, planks, but all items like furniture and chairs and pool tables or whatever you made out of that wood. Tier 1 work orders. These may only be requested by the node's government. So let's say your mayor needs to build an aqueduct or a fountain in the middle of the square, or we need more benches for the square. They will offer some work orders and you can work on them and the mayor will pay you. Tier 1 caravan cargo bay upgrade certificates. So if you're sending out caravans from your freehold, they're just leaving the front of your house. They're leaving the front yard or the backyard or whatever. But now you can get a Tier 1 cargo bay upgrade. So now you can have a garage, like a one-wagon garage. Information on average sale price for auction sales within the region. So before you were just listing your stuff for a sale, but now you get average sale prices and you can see what other people are selling it for. So maybe before you were asking too much or asking not enough. Now you can see what the competition is doing. Map of active trade missions and requests from World Node Map. Trade mission and requests from World Node Map. So now you know who to attack, I guess. And you can see who needs what on the World Node Map. If, Bob's node over there wants iron, then you know where to send it. Exotic Hunter Store. Tier 2 creature bounties. So maybe Tier 1 creatures were things that are easy to catch, like cows. And Tier 2 creatures are harder to catch, like rabbits. Or more dangerous creatures. Or maybe it goes by pets or something. Yeah, it probably goes by how dangerous they are and how much skill you need to have to catch them. That's a safe assumption. Tier 1 business license. It's like you don't have to sell at the farmer's market. Now you have your own candy shop. Level 5. City stage. The Galleria. The economic node's unique building becomes a Galleria. You get all the stuff from before, plus this new stuff. Tier 2 business license. Instead of a candy shop, maybe you can have a candy factory? I'm assuming it means you have a bigger business. Map with information on current exchange rates for resource-based trade routes. So if you're selling iron to Bob's node, you can see the exchange rate. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because before you could see that Bob needed iron, but now you can see that how much Bob is paying for iron. Tier 2 work orders. These may be initiated by citizens or node governments and can be fulfilled by citizens and non-citizens. So I'm a citizen. I need a well dug. You can do it because you're also a citizen, or some strange person like Bob can come and do it because he's not a citizen. Or the government can just say, hey, we need an aqueduct. Anybody can come and build it. It's fine. Tier 2 caravan cargo bay upgrade. So instead of a one-wagon garage, you can have a 2-wagon garage. I'm assuming it's just a bigger cargo bay. Trade hauling stables for Tier 2 mule training. Like I said, maybe the first training is as a pack animal. Second one is pulling a wagon. Maybe the third one is working on a team. Trade embassy offers expanded work order access to diplomatic-friendly nodes. So other nodes can offer you jobs. If the other node needs an aqueduct, you can go work over there. Or if they need a bank or something, you can go work there. Royal Hunter's Lodge. Tier 3 creatures. I'm assuming these are the more dangerous creatures. Inventory expansion and weight management training certificate. Maybe if you have a warehouse, I think warehouses were hinted at one point. You can have a bigger warehouse, or maybe this means your wagons can carry more stuff. You can spread your load out across the wagon so the mules don't have such a hard time about it. Emporium. At the Metropolis stage, the economic node's unique building becomes the Emporium. Worldwide sales prices for auction houses across Farah. So that's a really good thing. You want to get to the Metropolis stage. That's a really good thing. Tier 3 business license. Instead of a candy factory, maybe you have a candy corporation. Like, I don't know, Jelly Belly or somebody. Trade skill mastery. Okay, now you can become a master tradesperson, trade skill. So that's really good. If you want to work for the government or just be awesome, you want this qualification. Player shop certificates allows deployment outside of designated player shop areas. So instead of just building your candy shop in the food court, you can build your candy shop out by the front gate, maybe. Or maybe on your freehold, or wherever. Tier 3 caravan, okay, instead of having a two wagon garage, now you have like a taxi company. You have a delivery company maybe, where you can have 6, 7, 8 wagons going at a time, 6, 7, 8 caravans going at a time maybe. Trade hauling stables for Tier 3 mule trading. Again, probably teams and stuff, mules pulling caravans. So Tier 1 maybe a pack animal, Tier 2 pulling a wagon, Tier 3 maybe it's pulling a caravan. That would be interesting on a team. Tier 3 work orders. These may be initiated by non-citizens and can be fulfilled by citizens and non-citizens. So you go to the Metropolis and you say, I really like the way you dig, Mr. Dwarf. Can you dig me a well on my freehold? And even though that's not your node, it's a dwarfen node, and you like the way dwarfs make their wells, so you can hire a dwarf to make you a dwarf-style well on your freehold. I just completely made all of that up. I just made that up in my imagination. Legendary Hunter's Lodge. Legendary bounties for legendary creatures, I'm assuming. If you want to catch some kind of mythical beast, now you can do it at the Metropolis stage. So we went through that really quickly, but now I'm going to give you some jaw-dropping strategies that I thought of last night when I was half asleep. Auctioneer for vassal nodes. If a node is the vassal node of an economic node, an auctioneer NPC appears in that vassal node. The auctioneer allows players to list non-resource processed material in the parent node's auction house. But players cannot bid on the item from this auctioneer. They can only list it. These resources and processed materials must be stored within an economic node in order to be listed in that node's auction house. In order to bid, they must still travel to the auction house in the parent node. So you can list your stuff, but you have to get it to the economic node to sell it. So you have to take your stuff to the economic node and then go back home to the vassal node and list it, which means there must be warehouses in the economic node. Huh. I think so. That's not the part I thought it was. Okay, the part comes with a superpower. The strategy part comes with a superpower. Watch this. Check this out. Each node type has a superpower. Economic superpower, linked economy. Holy smokes. Something that starts with the letter S. Economic nodes that have reached the Metropolis stage unlock the superpower linked economy. Any economic node within this superpower shares auction house listings with all the others, meaning that the items listed in one linked economy node can be bid on from any other linked economy node. Linked economies also connect metropolises and any vassal economic nodes belonging to that metropolis. The Link superpower has the potential to create a massive market that spans the world. Holy crap. So this is the deal right here, the mind-blowing thing. Oh my gosh. An entire planet can bid on your stuff. So that's the superpower. But now let me give you some strategy. Should you pick the scientific node? Or should you pick the economic node? let's say you want to grow sugar beets. Well, let's not pick candy. Let's pick something else like maple syrup. You have to go to the scientific node to figure out, to do the research and find out where the maple trees grow. Then you have to go to the scientific node to get the recipe for maple syrup or pancake syrup or whatever you're going to make with it. And then you have to go to the economic node to sell it, correct? But one of these could be the mother node and the other one could be the vassal node. Stay with me here. This is going to be a little confusing. When we first learned about mother nodes and vassal nodes, everybody freaked out and it was a knee-jerk reaction. Everybody wanted to be the mother node. But now these two nodes actually work together, and it might behoove you to live in the vassal node instead. What do I mean by that? Well, if I want to send bounties on creatures and whatnot, get bounties on creatures and breed them, I might want to live in the economic node. But if I want to do the research on where to find these creatures and how to catch them, I have to go to the scientific node. So the scientific node's superpower is fast travel, but the economic node's superpower is linked economy. So what is more important to you? To be able to travel back and forth to the scientific library, get all the benefits of living in an economic node, like being able to put out the creature bounties and everything, and then fast travel to the scientific node? Or would you rather have the economic node be the mother node? That way, you don't get the fast travel, but you live in the scientific node, so you don't have to fast travel. You have all the recipes and everything, you find all the locations, and then you just hoof it on foot to get those animals. You bring them back, and maybe you list the bounties on your economic mother node. You can still do that. See, you still get the legendary bounties because the economic node is the mother node now. I'm not explaining this correctly, but it depends on what you want to do with your life. Like, what do you want to do? I want to live in the scientific node so I can get the recipes and locations of the animals, but I want the economic node to have the superpower so I can sell those animals throughout the entire planet through the linked economy. Or do I want to live in an economic node where I can get all the bounties for the animals and fast travel to the scientific node to get recipes for those animals and locations whenever I want? Who do you want your mother node to be? The science one, so you can get fast travel, or the economic one, so you can get a linked economy? So now you have to make a decision, you see. Who wants to be the mother and who wants to be the parent? And this is not just for selling stuff, it goes for everything. Let's say your character, your class and subclass. Okay, that's a good example. Think of the parent and the vassal as your class and subclass. Think of it that way. Your main class is going to be a fighter, your subclass is going to be a mage, right? You're going to be a fighter mage. So do you want to live in you want the mother node to be a military node and you live in the religious node? Or do you want the mother node to be a religious node and you live in the military node? You're a fighter and a mage. Well, the fighter part of you wants to live in a military node so you can get those benefits. And the mage part of you should probably live in a religious node so you can get those benefits. But you have to figure out what you want to do and what's important to you to see which one of those nodes should be your mother node. If the military node is the mother node, it's always going to be fighting constantly, and you're always going to be fighting constantly. If the mother node is a religious node, and you live in the military node, maybe you don't fight so much, but you're going to have some awesome magical powers. Same with the scientific and economy node. So do you want the linked economy to be your superpower, or do you want the fast travel to be your superpower? When you choose your node, you have to think of it as a class and subclass kind of deal. If you're going to be a fighter, then you want to live in a military node that is the mother node. So you have fighter skills living in a military mother node, and you get the military superpower. If you're going to be a mage, you want your mother node to be a religious node, so you can. But if you're going to be a fighter mage, then you have a decision to make. So you have to take into account what your character is going to be when you choose your node. You don't necessarily want to live in the mother node. If your class and subclass are different, you may want to live in a vassal node. If they're the same, then you want to live in that kind of node at the mother level, at the parent level. Also, this brings into question races, like elves or dwarves or whatever. When you first start the game, how are your stats going to be divided? Do you get pre-established stats? Like every race has its own stats? Or do you get 50 points to spend on your own stats? Or do you get a combination? Everything has stats, but then you get another 50 points to spend on top of that. Reading the descriptions of the different races, and I think Steven said we're going to get to put our own stats, points into stats that we want. I think it's going to be a hybrid thing. I think the races are going to come with stats, but then you get another 50 points to customize it yourself. You might have to take that into account too. If you want to be a fighter and you want to live in a military mother node, then you want to pick a race that is about fighting. I don't remember who they were. I think they're elves that they take pride in their scars, their battle scars. They like to show off their battle scars. So that race might be really good at fighting. And then you choose a fighter class subclass. And then you choose a military mother node. And now you're the baddest mofo. You're the baddest mother hugger on the planet. So you have to take into consideration what you're going to be and what you're going to do. And you have to think about this ahead of time before you join the game. Because if you just go in there and pick whatever you want, well, that's fine. But if you go in there with a plan, that's even better. You can just go walk around like me. At this point, I think I'm going to live in a science node that is the vassal of an economic node. Because that way I get the economy, I get the linked economy, and I don't need the fast travel because I already live in the science node. So I can get all the recipes and locations of the animals and stuff. And my parent is an economic node, so I can put out bounties on animals, on creatures and things. And that will be the best for me as an animal husbandry guy. So you have to think about it for yourself and choose your own style. Well, I've talked a lot. We've gone over a lot. I hope I've given you some good tips and insights and whatnot. And that's where I'm going to leave it off for today. Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about? The beautiful artwork. Look at this beautiful artwork right here. It would be a shame just to gloss over it and not notice it, like the color purple. When artists create beautiful things like this and you don't notice them, that probably makes the artist cry. It probably took somebody like, an hour and a half to draw this. And I'm like, ugh, no, it's beautiful. Look at this one. How pretty. Look at these big stairs right here. I'd like to throw somebody off of here. Ah, look at all these cool things. Nice, huh? Beautiful. Whoever did the artwork, you are fantastic. Look at this one. That looks pretty cool. I'd like to see this one in color. These two. All three of these, I'd like to see those in color. Maybe I'll colorize them in Photoshop just for my own happiness. Look at these big guys. Big old mother huggers. I like this. I like these little lines, whatever they are. Look at a clothesline or something. I like that. Yeah, this one. See the interior? Look at the leather and the benches and whatnot. Look at all the candelabras. Look at the misty atmosphere. Somebody spent a lot of time on this, and I didn't even acknowledge how beautiful and gorgeous it was. Look at these flowers. Look at the lanterns and the wood. Look at this embossing thing. Cool, huh? I think so. Beautiful artwork. What's this one? Beautiful. Let's just open all these and take a look at them. Take a gander at them because it would be a shame just to ignore them. Here's some animals. Okay. What's going on with this horse right here? Is this tied to the horse's tail? Because that would hurt. Is that a tail or is that a stick stuck in his butt? There's a stick stuck in this horse's butt? That's not a good way to pull a wagon. Okay, that artwork is not complete because there needs to be some ropes or something here. That's messed up, tying a wagon to somebody's tail like that. That's not nice. That hurts. All right then. Look at these chairs. Staircase. This is a good place to sit down and talk about deals and stuff. Do some deals in the dark. I bet it smells like tobacco in here. I hope there's no smoking and ashes. I don't like it. Smoking is disgusting. Especially like that sweet stuff they smoke. I don't even know what it is, but it smells really sweet. Blech. Okay, well, all right, I'm rambling now, and I have no idea how long this video is, so I'm just going to take off and say bye-bye. I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video and my insights and my blabbering, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.